evening and welcome to yet another edition of Block 2's Corner Spotlight. I'm your host, Tanyi, and today we have a very special guest. Ladies, she is a like I don't even know the words to use to describe her. She is phenomenal. So let's welcome our girls, Charles, Chelsea Baldwin.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I was so excited to hear what you have to share with us today. And so many people were commenting, get copy power.
Uh-huh.
Is it a book or a course?
So Copy Power is a business. My website is getcopypower.com because copypower.com was owned by a squatter who wanted a lot of money. So
Okay.
I just added the get in front of it. But Copy Power is a copywriting agency.
Okay. Oh my God. And so you had success. Some people have had email sign-ups up to 12,000 in one day. Jeez, girl, you are on fire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the topic of today is how to create blog posts that sells. Are you ready?
Yes, yes, I love this topic.
Okay, so let's get it on. All right. So, over to you.
Okay. So do you want me to just start talking about writing blog posts that sell or
Yeah, sure.
okay, yeah, so I see so
Oh,
typically
my bad. Sorry for interrupting. So, yes, I skipped one important part. Just tell us more about you, because all what we know about you is you're the founder of Copy Power.
yeah.
Get Copy Power. Yeah.
Yeah, so to
Sorry
give
about
you guys, that's okay. Just to
that.
give you guys a little bit of background. Copy Power is 3 years old, and before I started that company, I worked in marketing for an app development company. So first I was just a writer on staff, and then I was their content director, and then the chief marketing officer. And in that job, I worked for them, and then they had a little startup incubator. So there were some other different companies that I helped out at the same time.
Yeah.
And I really started to see how much content and relatable content really mattered, especially because when I was over marketing, it was my responsibility to keep an eye on the numbers and how much people were converting and how many sales leads we were getting and closing. So that was really important. And I noticed how much good copywriting made a difference. And a lot of times it made an instant difference, and sometimes it wasn't instant, but it was very substantial and long lasting. So when I quit that job, I wanted to keep doing that for entrepreneurs and
Oh
people.
my God.
Yeah.
And your success rate is alarming, girl. You are on fire. So we can't wait to hear what you have to share today, because a lot of people in this group are struggling to sell. So this topic is very, very important for them. So just go on, honey.
Okay. Yeah. So I think especially when it comes to blogging and blog posts and writing, anything really in writing, it's all about getting attention and hooking attention right from the start and right from the getaway. So people are instantly hooked and instantly want to know more about what you have to say. Um, and that's why a lot of websites use clickbait, because they know that writing that kind of stuff, gets attention. Whether it's good or bad attention, it gets attention. And I don't like clickbait. I think a lot of us get annoyed with it. So that's not what I teach, but that's just an example of why they do that so often. Um, but you can do that by other means as well as a writer. It doesn't have to be clickbait. You don't have to annoy your readers with that. But getting the attention, whether it's on a blog post or on a sales page or in an email subject line, an ad, whatever it is the most important thing. And a lot of times, I would say 99% or more of the time, you do that with emotions because the human brain works based on emotions first and logic second. Um, So if you can hook someone with their emotions, that is what gets their attention. Like if you went to a sales page and just read a bunch of specs, like this product has this feature and that feature and that feature, and it costs this much money, and you can like whatever, like the features, you're like, okay, yeah, that's good, I guess. But then when you're checking out a lot of different products that are all pretty much the same thing, you're like, well, I don't know which one is best. Um, which is what gives you the opportunity as the blogger to stand out, because a lot of companies do just that. But when you can speak to somebody's emotions, like you can put all the features and stuff on there still, that's still a really good thing to have, but that's secondary to relating to their emotions. Like, um, we can take away this pain point for you. We can take this feeling that you feel every day and turn it into this feeling, or if it relates to making money, that's a huge pain point that people have. Um, it can help you make more money. It can help you do this. It can help you save you time. So you can talk about the frustrations around that with the emotional language and hook people. Um, so that's important for whatever you're writing. In
Yeah.
blog, yeah, in blogging, it's not always direct sales. Um, I think blogs are really good to have at sort of the top of your funnel, where you get people in, and then at the end of the blog post, you get them to opt in, and then they can go through this nurture sequence before they buy. Um,
Yeah.
so with blog posts, it's just about getting them to read and keeping them interested in the story. So I have a blogging with balls masterclass where the first module is all about, actually the first module is about the headline and getting attention, and then the second module is all about the intro. And I have this rule that I teach in that second module, which is called the thank you captain obvious rule. So at least when I was in middle school, like when we were young and kids, like if somebody said something really obvious, our friends would make fun of us and say like, oh, thank you captain obvious. And so so when people write blog posts, they write these intros with very obvious statements, very obvious facts or statistics. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's true, but that's not really juicy or interesting. So the attention is just not really, it doesn't
Oh,
hook people right away. Yeah.
yeah.
Like maybe they'll keep reading, maybe not. And so that's where you lose a lot of people before you even had them. Is in those blog post intros, and it's really unfortunate. But when you can do that, like I have an example of two blog posts that are on exactly the same topic, which is like budgeting, which is a very boring topic for a lot of people, unless you're an accountant, I guess. Um, and one blog post on this same exact budgeting strategy was like, oh, we're fans of this budgeting strategy on this blog and blah, blah, blah. It can do good things for you. Now let's talk about it, which is boring. And then the other one is about this guy and how he was trying to do this budget strategy, but he failed a little bit, and he ended up, the story was that he ended up having to take some money out of his motorcycle replacement fund to cover like a fancy dinner that he ate. And his intro was like, I went out for dinner one night and ate a part of my motorcycle, um, because he ate the funds for it. But the beginning was like, wait, what? You ate part of your motorcycle?
Yeah, I will get
You have
hooked.
to explain. You're much more interested in this boring subject of like this budgeting strategy than you would have ever been on the other post.
Yeah.
So that coming up with intros like that as a writer can be really fun, but then it also really pays off um, in your blogging overall and helping you make your blog profitable.
Yeah. So, do you have like some sort of minimum viable introduction, like certain things that people can do to get their introductions right?
Um, I would like, as far as minimum viable thing, I would say start off with a highly, highly emotionally charged statement if you can't think of anything else.
Okay.
So like this guy's example story was really good, but you won't always have an example story like that. If you can find one, great. But if not, start out with something really just highly emotional. And one of the ways you can do to find that is to just sort of brainstorm, like whatever pain point the blog post helps solve. You can think of thoughts that go through people's head when they're in the trenches of this pain point and sort of brainstorm those out. And that's a really good way to come up with ideas on how to start your blog post, because then you're starting with something that's more emotional than it is factual. You can get to the facts later, but when you start out with those emotions, especially from the start, then you're much more likely to hook attention than you are speaking in generic terms.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right. So come in, guys. She said something really powerful. She talked about emotions. Like if you can get you can get the audience emotions from the very beginning, the introduction, they are more likely to hook them throughout the article. So comment, guys, if this point really touched you and you're gonna be implementing, right? Comment, guys, below why she goes ahead. Yes, please go on.
Do you want me to keep talking about
Yeah,
some? Okay.
yeah, sure.
Was there any point in particular? Sorry, I was just looking in your Facebook group to see if that's where the comments were. I don't know.
Oh, no, no. As of now, there's no comment yet. So,
Okay.
yeah, keep going.
Um, okay. So, well, based on that, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask me that you think your audience would
Okay. Let's
better?
see. So, a lot of people have problems with coming up with like an article idea to start
Mhm.
with before even thinking about making money with the article or creating an article that sells.
Right.
So, do you have any advice for how to come up with an article idea or?
Yeah. So my favorite tool is answerthepublic.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic, and that's one of the things that I talk about in the first part of that course, is coming up with the ideas that people will click on to start with.
Yeah.
But Answer the Public is really good because you can go in and put like even just a one word keyword. It doesn't have to be something long tail. It will give you like the longer tail keywords. But you can start with one keyword and it populates all of these questions that people are searching the internet for, the information that they are trying to find. And if it's a keyword that you're very knowledgeable around, a lot of these things are things that you can pretty much write or answer in your sleep. Then all you have to do is go in and write that article, um, sort of fill it up with the knowledge that you have and how you would answer it to give that answer to the people who are looking for that answer. And then
Yeah.
you use the blog post to get people into your funnel and into your little world.
Okay. So, is there any length difference? Like, how long should an article be for it to sell?
That's a good question, and I don't think there are any hard and fast rules. I think Google likes things that are 300 words or more. Um, and for that, I just think it depends on your strategy or what the topic is that you've chosen. So like if you're answering a really big in-depth question, obviously you want it to be longer. Um, if you're wanting to just like if you have a blogging strategy where you just blog every day, you send messages out to people every day, they don't have to be very long, especially if you're really conversational with your audience. I think though, this is my personal opinion, and I know other people will have other opinions about it, but I think
Yeah.
a lot of times people are obsessed with creating cornerstone content and
Mm-hmm.
creating these like 5,000 to 15,000 word posts that just talk about everything. Like, no, like, I don't think any reader has time to sit down and read through that. So my opinion is to stay succinct and to the point. If that means that you write something longer because you just have to make it longer to answer the question fully, that's fine. But as long as it's still interesting and you're not just going on and explaining a lot of long things for the sake of explaining a lot of long things to get the word count up, I don't think that actually helps you in the long run. Because who's going to like read all of that, right?
Yes, and I started a podcast with a friend of mine, Mindy. Hello, Mindy, if you're watching. So, writing the length of a blog post was one of the topics we were talking about, and so we kind of fell on this same point. Some people do like 5,000 words and more, and we had the same opinion that it shouldn't be that way. People don't have time, all right?
Yeah,
So, and some people claim that the longer the article, the more it's gonna rank. But I've seen articles that rank on Google that don't even have much content on there. So that was a very good point you made. So let's come back to, because a lot of people want to know how they can get started. For example, getting sign-ups to your email list. Do you have like any recommendations or?
yeah, well, I think the most important thing is to have a good lead magnet, so something that you deliver to them once they sign up. Like newsletters are great. I have some newsletters that I'm on that I love reading, but as great as they are, I don't think I signed up for them just for the sake of letting this person email me every week, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you have something that you can deliver or you can easily create something, honestly, it can even just be an email. Like my lead magnet is 3 emails. So I just wrote some emails and was like, hey, you can sign up for these. And they're structured in sort of like a mini course that's free. And it's good content, but just good free content that you're knowledgeable about that you can give away that can help them solve one of their main pain points. Having that is really important. And then, of course, knowing how to talk about that and making sure that people understand how valuable it is so they want to sign up for it. And then, of course, they want to open the emails when they get them after.
Okay. So apart from the introduction, is there any other thing people are supposed to do? The introduction and emotions to create articles that sell?
I think it's important to keep the call to action on point. Um,
Okay.
so, like if I have my lead magnet, it's one lead magnet, but I can approach it from many different angles. So if I'm putting that as a call to action in some of my blog posts, I just make sure that I structure that call to action to make sense with the rest of the blog post to kind of be in flow with everything that I was talking about and to make it like a no-brainer for somebody to sign up if they
Yeah.
haven't already.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you've really shared some very powerful powerful points. So comment guys, comment below if you have any questions for her. You talked about a cornerstone content, and
Mhm.
many people who are just starting out might not understand what this is. Can you throw more light, more what a cornerstone content is?
Yeah, so Cornerstone content is something that some bloggers or companies who are into content marketing will use as like um, the piece of content that they market the most. I actually don't have Cornerstone content on my blog. I have created it for people, and it can be a really good strategy. But their strategy is to have this one big or important piece of content that collects most of their traffic and leads. My own strategy is to have lots of little ones that sort of bring people in. But that's the idea of a cornerstone. And cornerstone content is usually really long because it has a lot of valuable information in it.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, you did have some things to share with us today, freebies, offers, because that's what this show is all about. I go over the internet and try to look for people who can create offers for my members. This
Yeah.
is my favorite community. So,
Yeah, so I do. I have, if you go to getcopypower.com, there's a tab that says freebie, and that is my lead magnet. So you can see how I do it. It's a 3-part email course, and basically it shows you how very practical ways to take copywriting to help you sell more on your website. Sorry, I knocked my microphone. I don't know if that made noise. To sell on your website. And so the first part is about creating emotional hooks. So we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, but that will really guide you through how to write them and how to brainstorm them and kind of take the mystery out of it, because you can see the words of me explaining it in front of you in text rather than just hearing me explain it. The second one is about highlighting pain points without falling into jargon, which is what happens a lot, like especially if you think about software companies. They highlight these pain points, but then they use this language that is just jargon and does not make that much sense to the everyday person who is their customer. So it's about how to kind of get jargon off of your website and replace it with something that's actually really juicy and interesting to read. And then the last one is about calls to action. So it's like I teach this fun little trick that you can do around your call to action buttons, not so much on the button itself, but around the button that can really, and it has to do with writing and not design. So don't worry if you're not good at design, but to really, like, I've seen it triple button clicks sometimes. So that's just kind of a fun little thing that you can learn how to do that I really like to do.
Okay, so we're almost getting to the end of the show. What, apart from Instagram, or what is your Instagram handle? And where else can people find you?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is Get Copy Power. That's mostly where I share stuff. Also on my email list. So if you sign up for my freebie, you'll be on my email list, and I announce a lot of cool things there. Other than that, I don't use a ton of social media. I post on LinkedIn and Facebook from time to time. On LinkedIn, I'm Chelsea Baldwin, and Facebook is Copy Power, but not as often. But Instagram is where I am mostly on social media.
Right. Yeah, I love Instagram. I love the fact that, you can just connect with somebody of the, Facebook is a little, friends of your friends of your friends, but Instagram is wild. That's why I love it,
It's just a platform. You can message anybody.
You can, and that's one thing that is powerful about Instagram. So guys, get on Instagram if you're not yet on Instagram, because this lady right here, this super lady right here, I got her from Instagram, and I don't think I would have gotten her from Facebook if we're not friends. So thank you so much for coming to the show, and thank you so much, viewers, for all those who are watching. And if you did learn something today, comment guys below, and Chelsea is gonna be in the comments. She's gonna drop her links, and then she's gonna check the comments from time to time to answer any questions you may have. So, and don't forget to sign up for her freebie. You're going to get a ton of value from it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm so honored to have had you on the show. So, this has been Tanya Melvis of Block Tools Corner, your host for Block Tools Corner Spotlight. Bye.
Bye.